RCGroups.com. Hey everyone, it's Jim T. Graham, Jason Cole. Jason,
What's up?
what is that shirt you've got
Hey,
on?
man, Chewy's. Got
Boy,
expecto burrito on yourself.
it's the only Mexican restaurant my wife still likes is Chewy's.
Chewy's, yeah.
If I were to tell the people at Mestizos that Angela, I shouldn't even say it on, they'll never see this video, but I love Mestizos. It's my favorite, but she is so Mexican restaurant picky. Crazy. So,
I don't know. You gotta get some Mexican.
I haven't gone to YouTube yet. Jason usually takes over the YouTube chores at the beginning of our broadcast. We were at the field. You know what? I didn't open a window, turn on a light, or anything in this office. We did go to the field yesterday and did a live broadcast. You know, we had a pretty decent amount of views on that little video that we did just for fun.
Did we? I hadn't kind of rechecked it yet. But
we were packing up, and before we went out there, I said, hey, we should go to the field, or we should shoot a live video to myself, and then I remembered right at the end, so we got to talk about what we did. By the way, Jason, I went and checked all my FPV recordings from yesterday.
Yeah?
I got nothing.
Nothing? Well, guess what? The one shot that we'll talk about later, like recording, event happening, stopped recording.
Right, on YouTube?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like the moment it should have captured stuff, it had stopped recording, and then the good stuff happened right after. I was so mad.
So I went to my SD card, and same thing happened to me. It was recording me not going through. Well, do we even have any pictures from yesterday? Do you have anything to share from yesterday?
I have some videos.
Okay, so first we'll talk about. Well, do you have your airplane that you can pick up and show
I have the airplane.
All right. Well, let's get straight into it. We're going to talk about going. I believe we didn't talk about the EC 1500 review day where we went and shot videos. I have all that right over here. Oh, that's a tough airplane. And so yesterday we went out because Jason had this new FPV plane, and when he did, I took the Aero Scout out, which I'd put FPV camera on, very simple camera, and so we did some FPV, and so we're going to talk about all those things in this podcast. And Jason's going to talk to you about the Proxy.
Yeah. So this is the Proxy from Twisted Hobbies, and this is my first Twisted airplane. So that's it's been interesting to see, and it's a kit, right? So you get it in a flat, box, and it's foam parts and carbon fiber rods and kind of traditional parts for building foamies. And the build went really nice. It was super clean, like easy, simple construction. Everything fit perfectly. So that was, excited about that. Just went together really nicely. Super clean. Like, it's a unique design. So I haven't had one of these before. You can see it's that X style fuselage with a V-tail. So I was like, hey, this is interesting from them. They've had this similar style fuselage on other planes. But in my mind, Twisted Hobbies airplanes are kind of more 3D aerobatic, kind of planes. And this is an FPV purpose-built airplane. So you can use it as a sport plane and fly around and have fun line of sight, but it's really made for FPV. And so they sent me this Spotter V2. It's a camera VTX combo.
What's the wattage on that? Let me guess.
25, 100, or 200, I believe.
Nice.
Somewhere around there. I set it for 100.
It's really amazing, the micro FPV units now that are selectable and do a great job. So we'll talk about that video and how you like that wide angle, because I'm all about the wide angle.
Yeah. So anyway, we flew it yesterday. It was the first time. I'm going to go out this weekend and fly it some more and do some proximity flying around some trees and stuff. But kind of some of the interesting design things is these are EPP foam wheels. It's got carbon rods supporting it, 3D printed hubs, which is interesting. It's got this cool winglet design. It's kind of flared out, looks kind of neat. And then a pusher with a traditional like 2206 kind of quad motor and prop.
It does not look like a pusher plane. So when I was taking your photos yesterday and I went around the front, I initially thought, where's the motor?
Where's the motor? And it's kind of nice because that's just EPP foam in the front, and you can crash, bash, thrash, wear this thing out. I flipped it over a few times in the heavy winds the other day, and yeah, it just survives, and it's tough. And what this thing does really well is fly slow, controllable, and in tight spaces. So I flew it in the gym last night just to see if I could. It's a big 44-inch kind of wingspan.
Yeah.
That's a decent sized airplane. When I got it in the gym, I was like, whoa, this thing's big, but it's not a big airplane. But in that kind of a space, it feels that way. But I was still able to fly it and do figure eights and have some fun in the gym. So it can fly slow and tight. And that's where this thing excels, especially in FPV. So you're going to be able to fly this around, drone race courses and through really tight gaps in trees and really close, low-level proximity stuff, which is there's not a whole lot of planes out there that'll do that. Jim, you were flying the what's it called? The Aero Scout?
The Aero Scout, yes.
And I was like, that might be a better, stable FPV platform, when I saw you took off. But I was like, well, that's not what this thing is for. This isn't for giant open air fields, with nothing to fly around. This is made for getting in a grouping of trees and doing knife edge passes through gaps and kind of floating around that way. And it's going to be tough and durable, so you can go inverted through a race gate and not care if you hit the ground and crash because you just pick it up and keep going. So in a sense, it's kind of like a quadcopter in that you can bash it and thrash it all day long and still keep flying. Maybe, I'd say this is more durable than a quad because you're not going to break a prop.
And that's who it was made for and by.
Yeah. So the only, I'm in the middle of writing the review right now, and I'm going to get some more air-to-air footage and some stuff this weekend with some of the drone guys. But right now, the big downside for me is they recommend like a 600 to an 850 3S battery. And that's what I've been running, a little 3S 850. It's a 3 solid minutes of flying. And I'm like, man, that's just not enough. I
need a 2200.
10 minutes. So what I'm going to have to do is rearrange some of the gear, move the receiver back and the speed controller back and down and underneath, and rearrange some stuff so I can fit 1600, 2200 battery pack and get some more flight time. I'm hoping I can get 7 to 10 minutes because that's where it's really going to be happy. It's just so much fun, and you're not tearing anything up. That 3 minutes goes by, and you're just getting in the groove, and you're ready to keep going, and it's time to land. So even if you had a bunch of 850 batteries, you're still having to land every 3 minutes and change it out, and that can be annoying.
I'm gonna go grab my Aero Scout while you're talking.
Okay. Let's see. Love the hat. Just seeing what you guys are saying on the chat there. I guess I'll show you some videos. So, Jim and I went out and flew. I do have a Mobius on front that I Velcroed so I can capture some HD stuff. So I've got some recordings from that I can show you. So let me see. Jim might have to figure out how to switch me over here. I will do this. Well, I'm not seeing. This is a different tab than we normally would have. You putting earbuds on, buddy? Who sells that model? Daniel, that's Twisted Hobbies. So they're the guys that have them for sale. I think they just started shipping recently. I think it's $98, $99. Jim, I'm not seeing where to share. Oh, there it is. It's in a different location. Application window. Let's see here.
Jason, I got to say something. My wife bought me these new iPhone or these Apple headphones.
Earbuds.
And I keep vitamins. I keep vitamins in my pocket to take during the day, and I had these in the wrong pocket, and I took 2 of these last week. So you got to keep your pills in one pocket and your headphones in the other.
Don't take them. Don't take those.
Well,
all right. Share screen. Let's see if this works. I'm not seeing it, dude. Well.
Wait, how would this work?
It's not doing. It's saying error has occurred when screen sharing.
Interesting.
I could possibly do. Whoops. I want full screen. Okay, let me try one thing here.
What if you point? You just have one monitor, right?
Every time I try anything, it says an error has occurred.
What if you? Are you running off everyone? It's a technical.
No, it's on my computer. So and the camera's attached to the camera's part of the computer. All right. Well, that's a bummer.
And you can't share your screen.
I cannot
You know
share
what?
the screen. It's not working.
If I stop screen sharing, then you can't. So yes, that's the limitation.
Ah, gotcha.
Hmm.
Because it says right there, and I can click share, but then it says, sorry, an error has
I
occurred
guess the only way to do this in the future is to upload to somewhere.
to YouTube. Well, I'll tell you what. Well, I don't know if we'll be back next week. We should be on next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So next week, I should have the review done and completed, and we can just show the full YouTube video, and everybody can see it.
And so while we were out there, I didn't tell Jason I was going to do this, but a while back, I added this FPV. I just cut a piece of wood and drilled a couple of holes and zip tied. I 3D printed this mount. I had a bunch. I 3D printed a bunch of these like a year ago, and I found it in my little shelf. And so I zip tied the camera onto the mount, and the mount is zip tied onto the piece of wood with these guys, these blue zip ties. And so my goal was to go simple and cheap, and I put my favorite antenna on the back. And it's not a wide angle lens. It's my only real problem. And the other thing is, if you can see it, it's kind of pointing down the camera, which is good. But when I was landing, okay, so let's talk about first taking off and landing was the whole point of doing this at Aero Scout, and everybody's doing it. And taking off was a non-event. So what I don't like is when I'm at Nashville, I have to go find someone and then ask them to launch my airplane because now they're
Right.
responsible for not putting me in the dirt.
Yeah, with no autopilot, you can't just get it in the air, line of sight, and then put it in autopilot, and then put your goggles down.
Right. And so Jason knows I'm looking for something I can take off and land myself. And so when this came in, I was like, our Jason was like, aha. And I went online and everyone else had already aha'd. So the takeoff was uneventful. Flying was easy, even with this narrow angle lens. But landing, so the camera only goes down just slightly, but I knew that I was going to crash. But every time I landed in this thing, it was a greaser. Jason, I never really saw it. Did it the landings?
Yeah, no, they were perfect. Yeah, and it's so fun to land on wheels in FPV because you just, I don't know, it's just something unique about it.
It had me going. I was laughing.
Yeah.
I would go down into safe select, and I kept thinking, okay, this is safe select. All you have to do really is keep your wings straight. And I kept some power on too because it was like 10-mile-an-hour winds out there. It was stupid.
Yeah.
But with just a little bit of power on and just flying it to the ground, you could hear the wheels touch down, and then you're on the ground. It was awesome.
Yeah. And we can use our words instead of the video here, but I'm sure people have seen our gazebo or our overhang our shelter that we use at the field. It's quite large, and you look at it and you're like, man, you could fly an airplane through there. And so I did it in FPV. We flew through the gap, through the shelter, and I was like, oh, that's fun. I was like, Jim, you should do it. So I got on Jim's tail and was chasing him in the FPV screen, and Jim's like, I don't know if I can do it, and I'm like, you can do it, and he did it.
So here's the deal: the wind was blowing so hard that I could not fly straight.
Crosswind, yeah, you had to crab it.
So I'm crabbing so far that really, and so I should have had FPV video of this, but the thing quit recording on me. It was recording when I took off, but I was crabbing so hard that when I finally got up to it, I was looking almost to the edge of the gazebo to get through the middle of the gazebo. And then I was also crouched and leaning to my right to help me fit through the gazebo with the airplane.
Got to use that body English.
And the whole time I was going through, I thought it's going to hit, it's going to hit, it's going to hit. And then I came out the other side and I was like, woo! And then I didn't know Jason was right behind me. So that was pretty exciting. Now, the second time, and I might be able to dig this up later on in the podcast. The second time, I'm like, I got to do it again now that I'm recording. But instead, the wind blew me too hard out of the gazebo. And I thought, well, I'll just do this cool fly over the tin roof. And what I did was I landed it on the roof. And when I did, I doinked the landing gear here. I haven't really looked internally at what I've done to it. Hopefully, it's just a glue fix.
Yeah, probably not too hard.
Well, and I got my little wood piece here that I might have to take out to figure out what I need to do. But I bet I'm just going to put it back in place and glue it and see what
Glue it.
happens.
Yep.
But I was going to take off the roof. I thought, well, wouldn't I just be able to, fly off the roof? And that's when I realized, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Moved right back into place.
Yep.
And I got a little bottle of foam tack back there. One other thing I want to say while we're out there. So the last time we were flying, before this, we were with Mike Hines, and he said, Jim, I really want you to fly this Warbird. It's my favorite. And it was a mud brown airplane.
I know what's coming.
And so I got out there, and it's obvious an airplane is flying this way or that way, right? But when it's somebody else's plane, I tend to get super nervous. I don't do that. I don't fly other people's planes almost ever. And I was like, man, I can't really get orientation on this plane. And Mike's like, yeah, it really is hard to see. And I was like, no, like I can't really see it. So Mike said, I'll take it back. And then I'm like, man, I'm like a baby. I had to give the airplane back to Mike. And I went home and I looked up my prescription in the sunglasses I was wearing, and they were like 8 years old. So it wasn't me being a baby. I actually was having an issue seeing the damn thing. And so I got on Zenny Optical. This podcast brought to you by ZennyOptical.com.
Yeah.
So check this out, Jason. By the way, Zenny isn't sponsoring anything here. I ordered a pair of aviator sunglasses, prescription, mirrored, the ones I wear all the time.
Yeah.
Out the door, shipped, $53. How awesome is that?
Not bad. Not bad.
And then I was like, well, if those aren't good, then neither are the ones that I've been wearing. So I ordered me some new normal glasses, and those are like $56 out the door with photo lenses that change in the sunlight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I got brand new glasses for like $106.
Wow. Well, that's why we're an hour earlier than normal this week is I'm going to get an eye exam for the first time. And since I can remember, I don't have any problems. It was just when I had my physical this year, the doctor was like, you should go get your pressures checked and just have an eye exam. I was like, okay.
Why didn't you? I have the best doctor in Nashville that saved my vision 5 years ago.
Well, we have weird insurance or something, because I had to call around and find places that would actually accept it. Because we get a free eye exam.
Where are you going to go?
I don't even know. I have an address.
Well, let me tell you what, guys, everyone out there who's our age, that eye puff test for pressure.
Nashville Eye Associates.
Well, that's probably real, because when you go to like lens crafters and they blow air in your eye, yeah, I mean, you might as well like stick your finger in that wind to see what the wind temperature is.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go there.
Yeah, what they do is they shoot your eye with a little blue laser thing. It's not a laser, but and that's how you tell eye pressures. If you don't know, I went in to get LASIK surgery many years ago, and it turned out that I had the glaucoma, which I believe, well, I won't go there, but so I have to do eye drops and get my eyes checked all the time. In fact, I have to go in this month. So get your eyes checked, and, seeing stuff is important in this hobby. Although there are a lot of people flying that I'm pretty sure
can't see. That's right. You're going to need them. Hey, over in the chat, Daniel's asking about the Mobius camera that I had on the Proxy, and he was asking like what model he should look at if he was going to buy one. And I said, man, these are like 8 years old. I haven't bought a new one, haven't looked at new ones, so I don't really know that world so much. So if anybody has any recommendations over in the chat, pop them in there. Yeah. Let us know what you're using for cameras.
If I'd have had that camera on my plane, I would have awesome video of me flying through a gazebo. And I don't think I own a Mobius or anything like it.
I think I have two, and then a couple of old GoPros, and I haven't just kept up with the new stuff. I know like the newest like GoPro, 7s and 8s and stuff have that. I can't even know what they call it, but it's like a cinematic mode where it's really buttery smooth and looks awesome. A lot of the Cinewhoops kind of drones are using them now to get those epic cinematic shots from racing drones. It's cool stuff, but I just haven't researched the cameras. It's just not something I've been real interested in lately.
And speaking of all that, I did something, I almost thought about writing a story about it. I don't keep all my airplanes, but I keep a lot of airplanes, and I especially keep favorite airplanes. And if you were to walk into what I call the basement, I'm sure Jason's seen it. By the way, Jason, I cleaned it, so it doesn't look like a crazy person lives.
Well, there you go.
And a buddy of mine that's a pro bro said, hey, I got a paycheck, and if you got something to sell, let me know. So he went in that basement and I sold 50% of what I had. And I'm talking, I said, dude, you're getting the cream of the crop. Everything that's left in the basement are my favorite quadcopters. The quadcopter you sold me, Jason, the FPV truck that I used forever was sitting there. So my rule is if it doesn't fly in a year, I should sell it. And a lot of the stuff I hadn't flown in years. I sold the fin
Nice.
wing penguin that had a 4-1 UA system on it. And you know how much money is in that thing?
I have
Like
no idea.
$400 or $500 or $600. I sold
Durr.
it for $100. He wanted it and I wanted it
Wow.
gone. I was just like, take it. So that guy scored. We filled his car up with airplanes, and I have to admit that when I walk back now to the basement where my airplanes live, it makes me feel good every time to see that you can actually see the tabletop and the workbench is clear.
Hmm.
I even bought. This is
It's a good feeling.
all RC related. I went to Home Depot or Home Despot and bought myself some cases. And so my whole work table was FPV cameras and transmitters and antennas and mounts and you name it. And so I bought these cases, and now everything has its own little compartment and it's under the shelf.
Boy, that's like getting organized is like the best feeling ever.
I never knew that organization was like. I think it's a man thing. Like
Yeah.
that maybe that's inappropriate to say, but I feel like I'm always looking at toolboxes and I'm always looking at things that I can put, with little drawers. And for some
Yep.
reason, it makes me feel really good.
Well, it's something you can do over the winter too, guys. So, I mean, you know you have drawers full of miscellaneous screws and all kinds of different sizes and threads and things. So, get some of those shelves with the little plastic cases in them and start organizing your stuff. Make it easier. Like, oh, I need this, and then you know exactly what drawer to go to and where it is, and put all your washers in one place and screws separately. And I don't know, be a little OCD sometimes, especially when you're bored over the winter.
And this is kind of interesting. When my wife's grandfather died, we were pretty close. Um, Everyone just kind of gave me all of his little uh, storage units full of screws and nuts and bolts. And
Yeah,
there's stuff in there from the like 50s and the 60s. And so whenever I have a project, I just start at the top drawer and go all the way down the line. And I've yet to not find what I need for a project at this
yeah.
point. And I always think Grant is gone, but he's still helping me in the shop. Pretty cool.
Oh, he powers at the field today. Oh, he's training somebody on a Delta Ray. That's awesome.
Hey, welcome to all our live visitors. Nick is here. E-Powered RC, Bildo Baggins, awesome Andy. Man, that dude's awesome. We had our Black Friday mass email go out last week. I guess it was last week. And everything went off without a hitch. I am looking at doing a holiday mass email. We'll see if anyone's interested in doing that. If you're out there and want to do that, let me know. And you hate organizing for real? Because ultimately that leads in a problem. So what we could do next, Jason, is talk about the EC 1500 or the BOT.
The bot. Let's see it.
Oh, but wait, we'll have to completely go off the forum now. Do you see what's rising up out of my screen?
Ooh.
Oh, oh, I keep doing
Does it
that.
go pew pew?
So, if Matt Gunn were here, we'd be talking about Red Dead Redemption's update that's coming on the 13th. That is a cowboy reality video game, which is made for guys like me. This is the newest gun that's going to be released. This is a Colt Navy. And if you're, what was his name? Clint Eastwood's seminal role is a Civil War gunfighter. Somebody in the live chat will help me. Anyway, he carried 2 of these. And I actually built this while I was stick building airplanes. In the middle of my stick building airplane phase, everything you see here was like chunks of metal. Even these grips were big blocks. And so I sat and watched TV, and it took me about a month to put this pistol together. And I've never shot it. It's a cap and ball revolver. So you're not actually going to blow a round off into the wall, because to do that, you'd have to put on a cap, put in your powder, put in your ball, put in your wad. So, and then do that 6 times. So,
yeah, you have to really think about it.
Yeah, the beauty of this gun is you're not actually definitely going to have one in the tube. So anyway, this is just laying here. This is my new fidget spinner.
There you go.
It
You
is.
like
I sit around cocking it.
flipping it around and stick it in your holster?
Okay. Yeah, so my son showed me a video of a guy twirling pistols. And I said, I can twirl pistols. And he said, no. So we went and looked. There's a video of me on YouTube twirling the crap out of a gun.
Oh,
And he
nice.
said, can you still do that? And I said, I don't know. So actually, I've got holsters that I've made in the other room. And I'm going to give this one a spin and then go upstairs and impress it.
Nice.
Okay, back to RC.
Dad stuff.
This podcast brought to you by the Colt Navy.
Multi-sponsor.
Do we want to talk about the EC1500, the BOT?
I don't even recognize what the EC1500 is. I mean, it's not called that anymore.
I love it. Yes.
Nobody calls it that.
Right. So what we're going to do is jump over to a video. Oh, that's not a video. That's me. There we go. Okay, so we went out to the field, Jason and Mike Hines and myself.
Rolling.
And this is the first takeoff.
I have it's probably best landing airplane in existence. I'm just gonna say it.
It's like a hot magnet. Hot magnet.
It sees the ground. It's like, oh, I like you.
So this little twin engine has a lot of authority and all the power it ever needs. And based on what we're seeing here, it's got to be Jason flying it. Do I have any audio coming off of that?
I have no audio.
And we had this terrible sky. It must have been about 2 in the afternoon. So it was good on this side of the field, and it would just turn into a black blob on the other side.
Well, it's better than just a sunny, like, no cloud day, though, because then it just plain doesn't look like it's flying. It's just rotating in space.
So what you're seeing here is stock configuration, stock throws, stock aileron flap setup. And the cool part is first, I do have some pictures. We'll look at those in a second. But
yeah, not yet, Shiz. He's asking about if we have differential thrust and do flat spins and stuff with it. But not yet. It's just all stock, as he was saying.
How about a scale-like stall turn?
So what we didn't want to do, and what we don't do in reviews, is go crazy and alter anything. Because A, that's not what the company is asking you to review the plane for. And B, we want it to be the same experience that you would have if you took it out of the box. And let me also say, as the guy that built this thing, I've built a lot of Horizon airplanes. What a simple build. Almost nothing.
How about a slow, flappy flyby?
All right, so now we're doing photo shots. This is where Jason flies by at an angle. Well, you're going to bring it around.
The show pass.
The show pass, yes. This is David Payne taught all of us the show pass. Let's see if you do the show pass. You're not doing it. There it is. So you get a little angle.
Into a hover.
No, I think flaps down. I think we're still shooting for video here.
Well, it's not supposed to pull. Those
yeah,
counter rotators are supposed to keep it straight.
I can hear my camera going on.
That's weird.
Now, what we weren't able to do was to get a good hover out of it. It's supposed to hover with ease. And it may be a question if I had everything on right, but we would have known immediately if the props were on.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't
have enough rudder. There's no way the props are on wrong, right?
Diving over to one side,
I mean,
almost like it was outputting more thrust on one of the motors than the other. Huh. But it's reduced throttle, so I don't. Maybe they're just slightly out of sync somehow. On the calibration on the throttle, so I don't know, but I couldn't keep it straight, and I think that's one place where differential thrust could happen if you've got that on the rudder,
right?
And you can, I think it would make that a whole lot easier. And I wonder if that's what they did for their videos, is have differential thrust for the hovering portion stuff.
So you're going to see Jason land this thing.
It is counter-rotating props, yeah.
Like magical. And so I'm going to prove that this plane can take a bounce on my first landing. So there we go. Let's see if there's anything else. We're about 3/4 of the way through. Oh, she landed again? Yeah. Okay, so we'll watch a landing. That is very pretty out there.
Yeah.
That nose pops off, the black part. You put a camera there, and then there's another part on the fuse.
Yeah, did you see that boy carrying the wheel through a wheel landing and keep the nose wheel up?
Look at those props.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
I think that's what you just said. Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's right. I don't know what I'm saying.
And then I had to rotate the tires. Okay, I have another video. I believe in this video we're going to see the door open. So it's got a rear door that's the tiny whoop would just fit into. You would almost have to get the tiny whoop on the door to make it work. Oh, is this me? Might be my bounce landing.
The Gypsy Graham.
I'm really
stress test.
Tested. Looks good so far, right? Bam!
Boom!
You can bounce it.
It looked good right till the end.
I went back in the air. I figured I better. For the record, that was Jim T. Graham.
Nothing wrong with stress testing.
On the video, Jason just wants to point out that was me flying the airplane and not you.
That's hilarious. I remember saying that now.
All right, let's see how I do. I must be going in for another one. All right.
Welcome, Wayne. You're never too late to party, baby.
So let me tell you what happened here. That's good. That's good.
There you go. Okay.
So
that was like a two-wheel landing to start with on the side.
Yeah, like a cub
That's
landing.
Like advanced stuff right there.
Battery's got to be enough.
Okay, the flaps are down. Maybe at some point Mike said to me, "Are you landing without the flaps?" And as soon as I started adding flaps, then I started landing like Jason.
Yeah, it slows down a lot more.
So that's the kind of power it has right there.
It's a lot of power. It's definitely over 1-to-1 by a good margin.
Jason, what do you think the temperature is outside?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. 37.
All right.
I don't know.
Hey, there's the thing we flew under.
Actually, I do know. 62. That's not bad. It's nice today.
Awesome.
I should be out flying, actually.
This thing has so much power, man. If you're looking for a big twin that will do just anything from scale to aerobatics, this is...
How's it feel, Jace?
And very easy to see in the sky.
So based on what I'm hearing through the video, this is Jason's first flight on this airplane. And Jason can't fly anything right side up. It's got to be upside down.
Nice. Saturday's partly to mostly cloudy. I-57, light and variable wind. So it should be
So
great.
what do you think? If you were to blow one of these props, would you just chop throttle and roll it over?
And then you found out, like, you keep finding...
I think a chop would be the first thing I'd do.
Gadgets and bays and places on the bot, don't you?
Yeah.
You sent me a picture the other day. You're like, what? Check this out. And it's like something lifted up that was secretive. And it's like, oh, it's a place you could put a camera.
After we shot the video, I came home and the whole nose popped off. And I was like, what? Good thinking. I think this is a Mad Andrew bird. I'm fairly certain it is. What did I say? I just said something in the video that I meant to repeat. So this is Jason flying it. This is probably going to be your first landing. Let's see if your flaps are down. Yeah, if you're getting bored with this, let us know in the live chat. I'm not bored yet, though, and I was there.
I'd say I always land with. Oh yeah, we did a door pass.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Door down.
So the door is coming down in this shot right here. Boom.
Boom. And you can put it on a. It's coming down pretty fast right now, but you could put it on a slowdown on your radio, and make it, more scale like-ish.
Treat it like an extra flap. I should turn the volume up. So
I think that's so. Okay, my personal thoughts on the airplane. Here's what I would do after the review.
Everything we're flying right now is 100%
too, because
stock,
it's not
and it's at 100%.
out of the norm. But it does have where you can split the ailerons to make bigger ailerons or bigger flaps. Correct?
Yes.
The airplane. Yeah.
You can do a full aileron if you wanted.
Yeah. What I think I would do is make it to where it had bigger flaps, smaller ailerons, but I would get a bigger receiver and mix the flaps and the aileron so they all work like aileron. So you got the whole wing is an aileron.
Well, let's
And then
pause
when
and
you
look at
pull
that.
flaps,
Ah,
you got the bigger double side flaps just for flaps. And then I would separate the throttles and do differential thrust as well, mix that in with rudder.
okay.
I think that would be amazing with that airplane.
And that would require different.
It would require like a 9, probably a 9-channel receiver.
Open
1,
up
2,
that,
3, 4, 5,
drop
6,
that tail.
7, 8.
So that's actually pretty good
9.
video.
That'd be an 8.
Open up that,
here's your throw.
drop that tail.
Here's your flaps, and here's your tail drop.
Ah, yeah. If you want to keep the Bombay door, it's at least a 9 for sure.
And then there's lights all over the place.
Yeah, man.
There's so much about this thing.
I think it's really fun like it is, but I think making those couple modifications by adding a new receiver would just take it to the next level and make it ridiculously fun.
Oh, you know what? I have photos. Let me bounce back here and see if I can pull these photos up.
Yeah, so the door is just on a switch. It's just a servo, so you can open and close it on command as you wish.
And I'll have the SPM file in the review when the review happens.
Yeah, Nick, we're working on something, man. I think we were going to try to do a quad, but that day just we didn't have time. Didn't have the ability to get anything going, so we're trying to figure out what we want to drop out of it to do it properly.
Huh, that's weird. It wasn't showing it. Okay, now do I have a... Yep, I do. Okay. So here's the wing out of the box. You know, nothing new. The only thing I would say about this wing is that it's hinged with plastic hinges. So there's almost like a trough all the way across, and these pop into it. And so you can connect these two pieces. You could connect these two pieces and make it a big flap. And so there are definitely options built into the bird. Here is the plug going into the fuselage that does your lights and your ESC, because you have a motor and ESC each side, and then your CF tube. And here's the bottom side, and you get to see the servo and the servo arm and everything there. There is nothing to be done here, of course. This is cool, little outlet hole. And there's your flap servo, which you could couple if you wanted to. Thanks to Lane's Planes for making our RCGroups wooden logo. Here's the elevator, or the vertical stabilizer. So these pop in. They don't lock in. There's nothing. That little tab right there is the only way that you lock it. And Jason noted after our first flight that one of these was sliding out. So make sure it's in. Like,
secure your elevators.
The basement. This thing slides in nose first, and then drops down into the slot, and you have one screw, actually 2 screws.
You're saying the tail slides in nose first?
Yes.
All right.
And so look at this, man. This is pinnacle of Horizon design. The servos and everything just automatically connect.
Auto mating connectors. I love it.
When I first saw those, I didn't trust them at all. I knew they were going to disconnect in the air, but they didn't.
Yep.
These are high density props. When you pick it up, you'll be like, boy, hefty. And they suggest you use a 10 millimeter. Hold on. Let's see how good I am here. Hold on. I was going to show you. A 10 millimeter socket wrench to put these on. And this is not standard equipment on RC plane, but they were like, this is what is required because they weigh so much.
Break it down, huh?
This comes with the kit. That's not true. This is not going. Yeah, you would have to go buy this, I guess, if you were just a regular guy that didn't have a lot of tools. This belongs in my truck. So you got to wrench it down enough so that those won't fly off in the air, because if they do, chop the throttle or you're going to crash, but not so tight that you break anything.
Yeah.
So
fine line.
Big note. I don't know what those are, but I do know what these are. These are skis. So where your wheels go, you can replace them with these and then take off and land. with the ski pieces. So there's the big body of the BOT, the big orange thing. So this little piece right here pops off, and you put a camera there, and this nose pops off, and I think that's for a GoPro or some sort of hard recording device. There's the inlet there for that rudder. And there's your elevator. So this slides on, and then your tail pieces slide in there. Pretty cool. There's your complicated plug. So I did this with, I think I did it with the foam. I'm not exactly sure how. I put it back in. We did a podcast. I put it back in the box. And then when I took it out of the box, this paint had come off. So what I'm saying to you, be careful. I thought surely whatever's on here is not, it's on the surface and not the paint, but the paint definitely hit the road.
Hey, Daniel's asking about the skis. Have you looked at how they attach? Did the wheels stay on and then the skis go like under them, or did the wheels come off?
I have not looked at that, but I'm going to bet $100. You know what? I give it 50-50. I don't know. I could go look at it right now because that thing's in the back. Maybe I'll go take a look in a minute. I put all these in a bag and they're sitting on top of the plane back in the shop. Here's your internal bay with your power splitting off. This connector is an IC5, Jason? EC5. And it is not. So like if you have just a standard whatever, it won't fit this. This thing's big. So I had to get a connector to fit the giant battery that goes on there, and then also to charge the giant battery, which made me wait a while to do the review. So here I am putting things together. La la la. Nose cones. This is me demonstrating the correct procedure to get everything on. Oh, this is the door closed, and that's the door open. And so that is a 4S 5000 LiPo, which flew it for a good long time. Wing tube, the beauty shot. That's awesome. Now we're at the field, so we're almost ready to hit the road and fly this thing. Look, my braid got in the shot again. It's the second time in my career. And then this is proving that you can keep it together and put it in a Honda RAV. What is this?
It's a Toyota RAV4.
Toyota RAV4.
But it fits in one piece in an SUV, so that's kind of nice.
There we go.
It's not too big.
All right.
That's cool, man. I'm looking forward to reading the full review when you put it out there.
One day. I'm sure this will be a fast one because there's nothing to it. There's nothing to the build. Yeah. It flies great. There's a few tips that I just went over for making sure everything doesn't, things don't fly off because it's such a big piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much all for me, man.
All right. Well, I have to say we did a lot. We went FPV in yesterday. I flew through the gazebo. Jason, I really think I'm starting to prove in your presence that I like to play the bad pilot, but I can actually pull it through on occasion.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, you're a much better pilot than you claim to be.
Well, I'm every man's pilot, so occasionally we get lucky. Christmas is coming, but like Jason said, we'll probably be around next week. I'm not sure what we'll do unless we just make it a point to go to the field and fly something. My Timber X has a broken landing gear, but I bet I could foam adhesive that together in about 8 minutes and have it going.
There you go.
I'm wondering if my glasses will be here, my new sunglasses, because I'm excited to go out and fly something and see how it looks.
Oh, yeah. I bet it's like a whole new experience when you can see what you're flying.
The numbers were so far radically different from, I could look at the prescription on the glasses I was wearing and then what my prescription is now, and those numbers weren't even close. So it should be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us live in the live chat. We always appreciate it. If we, it's cold outside, so we're not going to get to do a lot of stuff outside for another few months, but I do really want to start doing more things coming from the field. And at some point, like if it were you and me and Mike, it'd be awesome to actually show the stuff in the air and us flying and talking and doing the behind the scenes of the reviews. And some other things. I'm starting to have some video ideas that I think we should do. So
Good stuff.
Yep. All right. JC's got to get his eyes checked.
Yeah.
And, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See ya.
Simmer down now.
Bye.